lovely people of the internet. This is Brian from NintendoEverything.com, and you are listening to Just a Chat. As usual, I'm joined by Dan, and we will be discussing this week's round of Nintendo news.
Hello, everybody. I'm back again for no reason whatsoever.
No, we like having you on, and you're pretty knowledgeable when it comes to Nintendo news, so it's good to have you again.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, so I'd say there were two fairly big things that happened this week, and let's start off with the one that happened first, and that was Level-5's Vision event, which had a bunch of news. It didn't start out too well because we were kind of hearing about these mobile games, which was Layton 7 and Fantasy Life 2. The latter one, I would say...
Yeah, let's start first with Layton 7. It's a bit mean because that game was also announced to be a Nintendo 3DS game.
Yeah, and then they just dropped it for whatever reason. Although the game is kind of different.
The game is different now, I will give it that, but at the same time, it's a bit disappointing that whatever they worked on first is not coming to 3DS anymore. And now it's sort of this weird thing that could possibly come to the Wii U, like a mobile game to the Wii U. That sounds like a fantastic idea. But yeah, it's also interesting because we're talking about mobile games here. They didn't talk about Wonderflick again.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. So I feel like that might be dead at this point for the consoles.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's dead at this stage.
I was thinking that if they didn't talk about it at that event, then I didn't really think we'd be seeing it.
Yeah. The other big... We're always going to mention it because I wanted to take it piece by piece, but the other thing they dropped is that Fantasy Life 2 is coming to mobile. And it's not really the same thing as like the 3DS game.
Right.
They're structured really differently, where you have to build your own town, and it uses the same like field assets like in the first Fantasy Life. So I wouldn't call it a sequel per se, but Level 5 is.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird name to give it. I mean, when people heard about Fantasy Life 2, which they kind of talked about before, they're like, oh, it's going to be a full-fledged 3DS sequel. So this was definitely surprising.
Yeah, and we're kind of hoping that we're hoping that Fantasy Life 2 would be that full-fledged sequel, because this first Fantasy Life game was really good, and now seeing it being this extended mobile port of the first game and just having the two tacked onto it, it just doesn't really feel right.
Yeah.
And I'm still hoping that the 3DS will get its Fantasy Life sequel, but Level 5 kind of threw some salt in the wounds of the fans who liked the original, I think.
Yeah, I do wonder if we will see it on the 3DS or another Nintendo system someday, but it'd be kind of weird, going from Fantasy Life 1 to like Fantasy Life 3 on a Nintendo system, but I guess it doesn't matter too much.
Well, I hope they really jinx it and not call it Fantasy Life 2 in the end, because that's actually the biggest insult of all of them.
Yeah.
Like I get it, but Fantasy Life was a really interesting game, and I kind of hope that the real sequel would be on a 3DS system, or something similar like that. Who knows where it will be on. But I don't think that mobile port deserves the name Fantasy Life 2.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Even the expansion add-on got a tacked-on name like Fantasy Life Link in Japan. It didn't become initially Fantasy Life 2. So this should technically be Fantasy Life 3 if they're going with that instinct.
Yeah, that's true. But aside from the mobile games, we did hear a lot about Yokai Watch.
We did, yes.
The first thing is that Nintendo, kind of expected I would say, is going to be publishing the game here in North America and Europe.
We kind of had to put that one and one together because Hasbro already had like the toy rights. And that was the first thing that was announced a while back. And then recently, I think Viz Media Europe was first with saying so we're going to do something with the manga and with the anime. And then Viz America sort of followed, and then it all came together in the end when they made this huge announcement on stage that Nintendo is publishing the games now. The interesting thing will be if the game will come out this year or next year.
Yeah.
because we know for a fact the manga is coming in September. And I'm not sure about anime. They haven't made any specific announcements about those. And we know for a fact that the merchandise isn't coming until 2016.
Yeah, during that level...
No, you go ahead.
All right. I was going to say, during that event, it sounded like the game was supposed to come next year, but then Nintendo's press release didn't really specify, so I don't really think we know at this point.
We don't really know, and the thing is, I expect if it does come out this year, to hear something about it at E3.
Yeah.
Or at least a random mention from, hey, Fantasy Life, Yokai Watch is coming out this year. But at the same time, I also think, well, we still have one more game in the Inazuma 11 series to go in Europe. And I wouldn't be surprised if that makes it at the end of this year in Europe. I know that's a bit soon, and some Inazuma fans might be going on the top of the chair and saying no, that's a really stupid idea. But is it? I feel that they still want to push out as much money as they possibly can before moving on to Yokai Watch.
Yeah.
Because Inazuma 11 still sells, and they have nothing to sell after Galaxy. There is no game after Galaxy.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. And I wonder if they're gonna take the watch and see approach and just move on from Inazuma 11 to Yokai Watch and make that more an international thing, because basically these games are localized still by the same group every single time. So I wouldn't be surprised if that group then moves on to Yokai Watch.
Yeah, and another question that's kind of been surfacing lately is whether this is going to be the first Yokai Watch game, or maybe they're going to take the new game, Yokai Watch 3, which was just announced for Japan, and bring that one over, because that one's. I think
it's the original Yokai Watch. I wouldn't even doubt about it for a second, because that's the exact same route they took with Inazuma 11. They didn't skip one game in that entire series, even though they knew that second game was way superior in every single way.
That makes sense.
So I'm thinking they're just gonna release them all in order, and because the original Yokai Watch is not that big in scope in compared to the second game, I think it's a very much a test in the waters to see if it actually catches on. Because even Inazuma 11 took a while to catch on. It took a good year. So having one game out there, maybe as early as possible on the market, may give them an indication if they should continue or not.
Yeah, that's very possible. I think one of the reasons why people are wondering whether we could get the third game rather than the first one is because the third title is kind of more US focused, like it takes place in the USA, so...
Yeah, at the same time, we also got over-the-top football games for the last 5 years. I'm not sure if that counts in the same category, but it's the kind of same weird Japanese stuff that we're kind of used to by now, especially in this market. So again, that's why I'm thinking that we might not see Yokai Watch until 2016, because again, they want to push as much money as they possibly can still out of Inazuma 11. Because having those two properties next to one another maybe doesn't really help much.
Yeah. I guess we'll see, and maybe we will hear about it at the E3. I could definitely see them at least mentioning it.
Yeah.
Alright, so that wasn't all the Yokai Watch news, of course, because that's one of the big properties for Level-5 right now, and we also heard about Yokai Watch Busters, which is coming to Japan in July, and there's a Yokai Watch and Romance of the Three Kingdoms crossover with Koei Tecmo. Yeah.
So first, Yokai Watch 3, again, just like you said, it's coming. It's taking place in America. I wonder how they are gonna develop the scope of that game, because Yokai Watch 2 was basically a bigger version of Yokai Watch 1. So taking it place in a new world, taking new things into consideration, it will be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Yokai Busters, it was the minigame that was in Yokai Watch 2, and I played it a lot with friends because it was an online focused mode. So I played it a lot with my friends over Wi-Fi. So I'm really excited to play that as a standalone game. Must be really interesting with all those boss characters running around. Both of those boxes look really like Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. If you are going to take a look at those box arts, like one is red, one is blue, and they each feature characters in fighting poses. I mean, come on, people! It's not really that hard to see. But I'm looking forward to that game. It was really fun in Yokai Watch 2. I'm kind of worried how they are expanding it in like a full-fledged 5,000-year product, but we'll see. And then the final thing that you mentioned, the thing with the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, that would be very interesting. And we know for a fact that this is going to be a 3DS game as well.
Yep.
We had some Romance of the Three Kingdoms game on the 3DS, which came in the same package as another typical Chinese or Japanese game. They kind of threw in a bundle. That's what Tecmo Koei did 1.5 years ago. And that sort of worked. And taking that to a new direction in the more child-friendly style, I think could really work for them.
Yeah, and it's Yokai Watch, so it's definitely going to sell.
Yeah, well, it's also not necessarily the same as regular Yokai Watch.
Yeah.
Because even those kids will have a perception of what Yokai Watch is. But it is going to be interesting how that will pan out.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit more serious property than what the rest of the Yokai Watch actually is. If you watch the anime, it's full of freaking puns. They did an entire riff on Apple at one point.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, it should be really fun. So they did announce again a whole ton of mobile games for Yokai Watch as well.
Yeah, we won't get into them, but there's definitely a lot of Yokai Watch news at that event.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that they are wanting too much all at once.
Yeah. And
that may be a bit of a worry, but we'll see. I'm still hopeful that they're doing the right things. I don't think they're on shaded territory just yet.
And it is kind of funny to look back on it, because Yokai Watch wasn't even doing that well for Level 5. It was kind of okay, but it wasn't until the anime started in Japan and everything that it really started to take off.
And they're kind of taking that approach with their new IP.
Right, and that was an excellent segue.
Yes, thank you. And that's called Snack World?
Yeah, the Snack World, which is another kind of interesting looking property, I would say. Yeah,
and basically it has the characters have the same Level 5-esque art style, but old animation is in CGI.
Yeah. And we saw that 8-minute kind of video, which was supposed to be I guess just a short promo maybe for what the anime will kind of be like, I guess, in the movie. And we also saw a tiny bit of 3DS gameplay where basically just moved around a bit, and they showed scanning items into the game through the new 3DS NFC adapter. Or not adapter, the built-in functionality of the NFC.
I think that could be really huge for the new 3DS.
Yeah,
if they really play their cards right, that could be a new selling point for the 3DS, for the new 3DS in Japan.
Yep.
Because having a game that solely runs around the NFC outside the whole amiibo thing, and taking that also in consideration that they know it's also from the same people who made Yokai Watch, could actually help them a lot to sell a whole ton more new 3DS units.
Definitely. We didn't get to see...
it is funny though that because they had a mobile version and a 3DS version, and the mobile version crashed during the presentation, they were like, "Oh, let's go back to the 3DS. Let's go back to the 3DS game right now. Let's move back." And the most funny part is that the mobile phone was a Sony phone, which is kind of ironic.
I actually didn't see that. I didn't catch that. So that's
it was a Sony phone. So a Nintendo handheld next to a Sony phone, and the Sony phone crashes.
Yeah. That does look like a neat-looking property, though. I kind of like the direction that they're taking with it.
Yeah, it looks really fun. They also released like an English version of that trailer, so it will be easier to follow. I didn't think that the voice acting in that English teaser was that great.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of okay.
Yeah, I really hope that they actually pick better voices if they're really starting production on that for the Western market.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Is it going to take as long as Yokai Watch did to come over here, or...?
I'm not sure. If they already have like a localized trailer, you would think that they already are thinking about it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that video to be subbed so quickly. Dubbed, I mean.
Dubbed, yeah. I didn't expect that either. I was more so expecting that they would take a little while longer, or maybe at least even a year, until they showed something of this, maybe for potential Western consumers. But no, they're already taking the direct approach where they are dubbing that trailer and seeing if it sticks with people. Which I like, which is a very good strategy. You can directly see if there's any interest for it in the West. It also seems more like Western focused with the whole character-based system that they're going for in that game.
I can see that, yeah.
And it seems also more like a real gamer's game, but made more child-friendly. So they might already be working on it. You never know for sure. Again, it could be a huge selling point for the new 3DS, so I don't see why not if it could make them money.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that was a pretty good ramp above that Level 5 event. It was kind of a disappointing start, but it finished well between the Yokai Watch news and this new IP.
Yeah, it did. I'm kind of bitter about Fancy Life 2. I'm still rambling a lot about that, but seriously, what was that?
Well, hopefully we see another game on a Nintendo system in the future.
Yep.
Alright, so let's move on to another game, kind of rumored before, and we finally got a confirmation of it, and that is LEGO Dimensions. And this is basically Warner Brothers' answer to the Skylanders and Disney Infinity and all those other things. Amiibo, I guess you could throw in there a little bit.
Well, Amiibo doesn't really have that one dedicated game attached to it.
Yeah, just more of that toys to life kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, with Skylanders and Disney Infinity, it's immediately clear what they are used for, which game, and what they work for. With Amiibo, that's not really exactly very clear, sadly.
Yeah.
So it does have the Smash logo on it, but it doesn't say everything.
Mm-hmm.
With LEGO Dimension seems to take exactly that route that Skylanders and Disney Infinity did. Having one base game, building the toys around it, and see if it works.
Yeah, and we know that a lot of properties are going to be included in it, which is another cool aspect.
Yeah, there's already the Lego Movie. There was Back to the Future.
That one I'm very interested in. Very, very interested in.
Lego Batman was there. A whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and this is probably going to take off much in the way that Skylanders did and the other ones.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more in line with Skylanders because it seems like they're actually building a campaign around this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if there will be like an actual like sort of toy box mode like Disney Infinity, because if that's the case, that would be a very interesting mix of the two.
Yeah.
And that would create like an own spot in this market, because I feel that Disney Infinity accelerates at making stuff, while Skylanders really accelerates at the gaming portion. So if you can marry both of them together, smart consumers like who really pay attention to video games might say I might only need that specific thing now.
Yeah. I guess the one negative aspect you could kind of bring up is that it seems a little bit pricey. Like, I think the starter pack, which kind of comes like the same sort of things as Skylanders, where you get like the base and everything, that costs $100.
I think that's also the same, not even like fully translated, just precisely £100 or €100.
Mm-hmm.
It's really priced weird for this market.
Yeah.
Like really overpriced, it seems.
And then you have the extra stuff, which is like $15 to $30 each or something.
Yeah, I think this is the most pricey one yet, because you don't necessarily need more characters to play Skylanders, only the base ones work. But to really expand like a Lego game, I think you really need more than the initial set that you're getting, and the initial set seems kind of cheap that you have to build it yourself and everything. So that's an additional aspect that comes with that as well. So I'm kind of intrigued how they will make people buy them. Many people will like the Lego game still, so no doubt that it will have some really smart strategy behind this.
Definitely. And we didn't mention this already, but it is coming to Wii U, of course, so that's another game for that library.
The Wii U box was actually the one that leaked.
Yeah, that was funny. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that's the first time in history that the Wii U box got leaked with something important.
Yeah, we found out about that through the leak, and then Warner Brothers made the official announcement.
Yeah, yep.
So, yeah, that comes out on September 27th, I want to say.
I thought it was 29th or so.
That might be Europe.
It's I think it's 29th for Europe, 27th, and then in North America, I guess.
Yeah, and one kind of weirdish thing, maybe you could say, is that there are a lot of Lego games coming this year, because we have this one, there's the new Avengers one, there's Lego Jurassic Park, there was just that 3DS game, which came out maybe last month, I think.
I do think that could be really vital for Nintendo, because you have a platform where all the Toys to Life games are. Amiibo, Skylanders, Disney Infinity, and Lego. That could be a really vital selling point for Nintendo.
Yeah.
As long as they keep the Wii U in the game, this could be something that could still reel people in.
Yeah.
But it depends on what they're going to do with Amiibo in the second half of this year.
Yeah.
And that vital Amiibo game is missing. That's the only key in the puzzle that's lacking, because if they get that right, like in the very near future, then they have a whole new selling point to the Wii U besides the gamepad.
That's true. But yeah, I guess we will see how all this Toys to Life stuff turns out, and it's not too long before that Lego game comes out, only a few months.
And hopefully we get more better Amiibo announcements during E3.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's close this out with just a couple more quick topics. The new Xenoblade Chronicles X presentation was today, and we got a look at the dolls and the network aspects a little bit, and both look pretty darn neat, I would say.
But for the people who don't know, because we probably have to explain this to people who have not listened to every single episode that we've been on, the dolls are the mechs.
Yes.
That's you ride in the game, and what they showed in the presentation is that you can do a whole ton of cool customization stuff, and they look really versatile and fun to play around with.
Yeah, they just showed a bunch of footage, shared a bunch of details. You can customize them. I think they could break. So there's a lot that happens with them. You have fuel that you have to monitor and everything. So
it looks really fun. And next to that, I also talked about the multiplayer options, which basically you can play missions with 4 people and fight gigantic bosses, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like just like what you would expect from multiplayer in that kind of game.
Yeah.
Like, it's not doing something radically different, but just kind of like, finding a way to bring your friends together and just doing some neat quests and taking on monsters.
I guess so, but at the same time, Monolith is not really known for making online in their games, so it will be interesting to see how they handle that side of it.
Yeah, just hope it runs well.
Yeah.
So, one more topic I think we'll talk about today. Kind of a controversial one, maybe, depending on how you look at it. And we heard a little bit more about Splatoon from an Edge article, and we kind of heard about why there isn't voice chat in the game. And it was kind of interesting reasoning. So I actually have the quote here, and this is from one of the developers named Amano, and he said, "This is coming from personal experience. When I played online games, I didn't like the negativity I got, and people telling me, 'You're crap, go away.' So he wanted to focus on the positive aspects of online gaming. And then Amano says he's not saying that chat in an online game can contribute to fun, but they want to grab new players. So
I can see both sides of this.
Yeah.
Because personally, I had some really bad experiences on Xbox Live. And kind of moved away from that and solely used Skype as a means of communicating with other players. That said, the Wii U has a freaking Wii U chat app where you play each other on video.
Yeah.
I mean, Wii U is not a platform to talk about having zero conversations. You have a whole entire community service called Miiverse, and you have a Wii U chat application.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I am really, really sorry that you think that way, but maybe that platform shouldn't have been that community focused then in the first place.
Yeah, it's very, very tough looking at it from both sides, really, but you know, you would just think that a shooter like Splatoon, you know, you would want to have that communication there. So, I mean, obviously you could just do Skype, like you said. So, I don't know. It's tough, no matter how you look at it.
It isn't like Nintendo has the most amazing online service anyway.
Yeah.
So usually when I have to find people to play on Smash Brothers or Mario Kart, I usually use Skype or Twitter anyway. I mean, it's not that hard for me because there's not a really great messaging system there in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, I used it a couple of times in the beginning on Miiverse, but that seems so obtuse that I rather do it through a more regular means of communication.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I still understand the people who solely have contact on the Wii U and don't usually use a PC while they're gaming, which is, again, totally fine. But not having any communication options, not even for or after the match, like in Mario Kart or Smash Brothers, seems weird to me.
Yeah, it's very, very, very tricky, I would say.
It's a very tricky conversation, but both sides have totally legit arguments for why they're doing it. And just ruling the other side out is not really going to help anything. But recognizing that problems from both sides are there is way more important. Definitely.
I would say so. And we also know that Splatoon's shaping up to be a great game, and I guess that's what counts, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We don't want we don't want people to get too hung up on the fact that it doesn't have voice chat. Obviously some people are going to be upset and they're not going to be happy about it, but hopefully they'll still give the game a try because it looks fun. We're
getting updates for 2 games that don't have really great voice chat to begin with. I mean, we're getting Mewtwo next week, and a week after that, we're gonna play with 200cc on Mario Kart.
That's very true. Very true.
And then we'll forget about this whole voice chat discussion in the first place.
Well, that game comes out next month, towards the end of the month, and hopefully people will still enjoy it, regardless of the fact that there isn't voice chat.
Yeah, I think it's really smart that they're now releasing the DLC for those 2 games now, and then having a month later a brand new multiplayer game to play by the by.
Yep, lots of Nintendo content coming up over the next few months, few weeks I should say, a few months.
Yep.
Alright, so I think we will just about wrap it up, but very, very quickly. We are going to have a new Let's Talk topic going up tonight, hopefully, and it will definitely be up by the time people hear this. And since Xenoblade Chronicles 3D is out in North America, I thought we would do a topic about the Wii games we want to see on the new 3DS. So,
okay.
Do you, Dan, have any kind of opinion on this? Do you want to see any Wii games on the new 3DS?
Oh, now you're asking me a very interesting topic, because I have my Wii collection is gigantic. I'm just looking over the shoulder right now, and I'm just flabbergasted with how big my collection is on that regard. Gosh, there are so many games I would want on 3DS that I have in my collection here. I could name a few myself that would make a lot of sense, like A Boy and His Blob, I see here. What is another good one? That's the thing, when you ask me off the cuff, I have to look at my collection.
Yeah, I kind of caught you off guard there.
It's fine.
I wasn't sure if you were going to talk about it now, but I just wanted to briefly mention that topic.
I would like to see, because you know that those party-esque games that Namco Bandai used to do, like Family Ski and Go Vacation, I would love to see something in that regard on 3DS.
That's an interesting choice.
Because those had a ton of activities, and you had a gigantic world to explore.
I would probably just be very kind of predictable and say, like, Super Mario Galaxy. Although I would also kind of throw Okami in there because, that came out on the PS3 in HD, and, I was kind of hoping it would eventually make its way to Vita so I could have, like, a portable version of Okami, and that didn't happen. So it'd be kind of neat to see it on the new 3DS, because I really love that game.
I want any 2D game I would like on the Wii U because the 3D effects are really good. Like I would love to see something like Muramasa or again Moines Blob, because those are really styleful graphics on Wii and would just really fit with the 3D layering.
You can at least play Muramasa on the Vita.
Yeah, I guess, but I would really love to have that layering in 3D as well. I think that would be really, really darn cool.
That would be actually pretty cool with the 3D thinking about it, Muramasa.
But again, there are tons of Wii games to talk about. I have a gigantic collection here, and I think that half of them I would gladly play again on my Wii.
Yeah, everyone always talks about like how we have enough ports and remakes, but I like new games very much, but it is kind of neat seeing like ports thrown in once in a while because it lets you go back to something like that you really liked and experience it again, like I'm doing with Xenoblade Chronicles 3D now, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, the thing is now that as we approach the end of the 3DS, we need more remakes to fill in gaps.
Yeah,
and I have the feeling that it's not going to take an additional 4 years before we see the sort of the minuscule end of the 3DS, and maybe 2.5 years from now. But to fill that time, we kind of need more ports. But some people will likely agree, and that's totally fine. But it is important that we still have content on the way that can keep us engaged, and that's the most important thing right now.
I agree completely. Alright, so I think on that note, we will sign off for now, but we will have a topic up on NintendoEverything.com where you can share your thoughts about the Wii games you want to see on the new 3DS, and you could leave a comment on YouTube, and we will talk to you next week.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See you next time, guys. Bye.